You guys want to know something that really sucks? Loving someone more than they love you, and having someone who is all you think about and all you want, but just not getting anything close to that in return. You start to you start to wonder if maybe you're just a backup option, something to pass time, or if they even really love you at all. And you know that you would always pick them over anyone or anything else. And at the same time, you also know all too well that they would not do that for you. And you will you'll sacrifice anything to be around them, and you have to live with the pain of knowing that they would never that they could never do that for you, and they'll keep hurting you over and over and over again. But you can't stop. You can't break the cycle because honestly, being hurt by them is still so much better than being without them. No, I'm just playing. What I'm just kidding. What actually sucks though is Webtoon. That isn't a joke. So I was living my normal NPC life the other day and remembered that I am in fact sentient, and also remembered that Webtoon existed, and I decided to see if it had any horror content on it and if I could read it and possibly make fun of it. Oh, it sure does, and oh, I sure can. And if you'll recall, maybe some of you, I made a video a long time ago talking about how, like, I have this obsession with horror as a genre because I'm immune to fear. I'm too big, too strong, and too scary to be scared of anything other than worms. I genuinely am terrified when it's raining out and I see a worm on the ground. It makes me feel like my bones have turned to dust. Um, but yeah, you might remember this video. Here's what it looked like if you haven't seen it. Don't go watch it, by the way. This is not a self-plug. It's not a good video. The only reason that I don't delete it, even though I really truly want to, is because I like surrounding myself with reminders that I'm a failure. It always makes me remember that I have a lot of room to grow and improve as a human being. Before anything else, I gotta just go on a quick tangent here. I'm sorry. I know we've barely begun, and the tangents are already coming out. But holy fucking shit! Oh my fucking god! The genre images on Webtoon are so bad, like genuinely bad enough that I have to talk. Like, I can't just not talk about them. I think Webtoon got a couple wires crossed because I think what they wanted was minimalist design, and what they got was minimal effort, and were just confused or maybe forgot to replace the placeholder images. You have comedy and tragedy right here with the funny man himself being in the front, which is cool, whatever. But then, literally two over, you have comedy and like actually just comedy, and it's just a smiley face. Like, it's just that smiley face right there. And I'm sorry, I mean, but Jesus, this shit looks like, I don't know, this looks like they let a Make-A-Wish kid design this smiley face like 8 weeks after he died from cancer. Like, that's how bad this looks. What is this? Also, some of these little images make some sense, like they're fine, and some just absolutely do not make sense to me. Like sci-fi, okay, UFO, not too bad. Sports, ball. All right, okay, I'm with you so far. I can't imagine anyone who's reading Webtoon has willingly played with any balls not attached to their immediate family members, but sure, I understand the reasoning. Supernatural is a cute little ghost. That's fine by me. But then, Slice of Life is just the sun, I guess. And superhero is the one star Dragon Ball, which is pretty baffling because I don't know that I would describe Goku or his compatriots as superheroes. They are super. I don't know about heroes. Mystery is like either a craft beer drinking hipster or a potential sex offender. I guess both. Those aren't mutually exclusive. Probably have a lot more overlap than one might hope. And then finally, I don't know. This one's maybe not bad, but it's like horror is just a skull. I don't know, dude. All of us live inside of a skull. Like, I'm inside a skull right now. So are you, and so is everyone else. I'm not scared of that. This is my house. It's where I live. All right, sorry about that tangent. Just had to really get that out of my system real quick. So I picked a few series to go ahead and read. I decided to pick 4 series. Stagtown, Moonchild, Nocturne, and Uriah are the 4 that I landed on. And if you're wondering why I picked these or like what my thought process was behind them, um, it ain't that deep. There isn't really a great line of reasoning there. It's just I went to the most popular horror webtoon series and I picked some of them at random that were the highest rated. So I know literally nothing about any of these other than I've seen the cover image and I've read the brief description. That is all I know. I've never heard of a single one of these before. Nobody has ever spoken to them or spoken to me about them. And I'm pretty like in the Webtoon community. Everybody loves me on this app. So yeah, I just picked high rated ones at random because I figured that's kind of fair. I don't know. So let's ask the important questions here. Were any of them good? I don't know. Let's talk about that. And then also, what would I rank them? Like amongst these 4, which ones are, what's the best one? What's the worst one? You know, that kind of thing. My task has been completed. It is actually much later. I've been pretty busy lately, so the first part of the video, what you heard up until now, was recorded over a month ago. Yeah, I've been losing track of time, but I'm back. I've read all I'm going to read, and I'm ready to talk about them. A couple quick clarifying statements before we get into actual specific things about the series. One, spoiler warnings, if you care about that. I don't know why you would, but there you go. There it is. And then the other thing I want to say is, no, I did not read all these series to 100% completion because, quite frankly, I didn't want to. And also, I didn't really think it was necessary. If you're one of the delusional fans of some form of media out there who says, you got to read all 298 chapters and then you'll understand it's really good. That series is not good. You just had got Stockholm syndrome. Like if something is not good within, I would say, a dozen to 20 chapters, episodes, whatever, it's just not good. That is simply not how things work. You're crazy. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into specifics about the series, and I'm going to lead things off with Stagtown. So let's start with the elephant in the room, visuals. For me personally, as a God King, and I'm always right about everything, they didn't really do anything for me. They aren't offensive. They're not so bad that it's laughable, that I'm going to ha 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 big time. Nothing like that. It's not like Tower of God anime. It's not Ruby level, but they aren't scary to me. There was no point when I was reading this series that I was like, ooh, now that was a little bit spooky, which, if I'm being completely honest, was kind of my, like, greatest expectation for any of these, is if any of them had even frames or moments where I was like, that was a little creepy, I would have been blown away. Nothing like that in Stagtown for me, so just to break it down for you, Stagtown is episodic, or an anthology, whatever you want to call it. I mean, you'd be wrong, but it's up to you. Story number 1, the one we begin with, is called Surveillance, and it was about cameras with pointy claw legs. That is all. That is the entirety of story 1. That is where it begins and where it ends. What if there were cameras that were watching you, but they had like what are little blade-like legs? Wouldn't that be scary? Story 2 is about orphans who are filled with marbles. Um, so yeah, I won't keep going into like super specific spoilers or plot twists or anything like that, but I just felt it necessary to say that story number 1 is literally about what if camera had a leg like a man do, or even a bug, and story 2 is what if those goddamn orphans were filled with marbles instead of cockroaches like normal. So that, I think, is kind of a perfect encapsulation of what this series has to offer you. And After reading a few more, um, I have come to the conclusion that this series is a lot like the love child of Clive Barker and Junji Ito in a bad way. I mean, admittedly, I don't know how that could ever be a good thing because Clive Barker is a sex pest crazy guy, and Junji Ito is Junji Ito. The man, I don't think, has ever thought a scary thing in his life. I'm not really sure what's going on in his head, but it's weird. The visuals are definitely 110% influenced by Junji, like Ito mode going crazy here, but the story is like nonsensical, cocaine filled, rambling bullshit like Clive Barker would do. Um, which, honestly, if you told me that, I would be like, okay, you have two authors who are known for batshit insane concepts that shouldn't exist, and this is like both of those combined. Maybe we have something here. Maybe crazy squared is just enough. No, no, it isn't. Um, it's like the worst parts of both creators who are already really bad, so it's just terrible. This honestly, thinking that these two pairings would be good is a little bit like, I don't know, if you forced a brother and sister from like the special ed class at your school to have a baby and you were hoping for that baby to turn into the person who would invent time travel. So I this is just a conceptually a disaster and not worth reading. So next up, Moonchild. Remember when I said that I actually wasn't going to be reading these series to completion? I lied. You got owned. Get fucked. This one I actually did read to completion, all the way through every available chapter because it's quite new. That's why. There are very few chapters, and so it was not really much of a chore to actually read through all of them. I think at the time of recording, there was 10, I want to say. Not much more than that. So, I mean, very quick to get through. And to be honest, I really only have two legitimate complaints about Moonchild, which is surprising. The first is right now it has so little content that I can only judge, I don't know what, maybe 3% of what this manga will be, or sorry, manhwa. Sorry, guys. Fucked up. I'm out of practice. But so little of it exists that, like, I have almost nothing to go off of. This would be like if you handed me the steering wheel of a car and said, okay, write a review of the car and how it drives. I would be like, huh? I don't know. And then the second one, it does not really seem like they were even going for horror. Like, I kind of question here, maybe this was a mislabeling by some like dipshit intern at Webtoon, because I don't think the creators of this series would have labeled it horror. I don't know why anyone would. Um, so overall, is it terrible? No, I mean, not really, but it's just another random like Korean manhwa. Like it's coming out of like the same Korean sweatshop studios that have been spewing this garbage for years. So like, is it terrible? No. If you've read one of these types of series, you've read them all and they're all passable. I mean, like, sure, I have a finite amount of time on this earth and I could be using it bonding with my loved ones or spending time with my fiance. I could be, I could be doing a lot of stuff. Um, but I spent it doing this. It's probably better than doing heroin. But scene one, you've seen them all. There's not really any point in reading this because it's not horror, and a million series that are just like it already exist. All right, next up, Nocturne. So remember, all those years ago when I talked about Stagtown, and I said there was hardcore Junji Ito reference and inspiration. Well, Nocturne goes beyond that to the point of just being like blatant imitation. And you know how Junji Ito puts out stuff that is all style? I put style, and you can't see my fingies, but they're doing big comical quote marks. All style and no substance. Um, Picture that, but without his style, which, to be honest, is nothing extraordinary when Junji Ito himself does it, but at least that little fella's got something going on. I mean, this just ain't it. Like, this is nothing. I genuinely, I don't know why it exists, and I question if a person even made this. This might have been like a weird early foray into AI art or something, because it isn't offensively bad. Like, it's not one of those things where, you know, you get together, you and 7 of your buddies, you get the cocktail sauce out, you lather up, and you consume some bad piece of media and you cackle. It's not like that. It's not entertaining, but it genuinely is a big enough waste of time that you're like, what the fuck? Why did I read that? I mean, like, after you read it, you're like, I could have literally, like, pissed all over my hands and then clapped a bunch of times in front of my own face, and that would have been a better use of my time. Why did I do this? Not scary, and it's stupid. Okay, finally, we've got Uriah. That's how I'm pronouncing it. I'm not gonna, what am I supposed to do? Call the creator and ask them? I don't care what they say. I'm smarter than even they probably are. Wow, this series, I did save it for last. Like, this order that I'm going in is the order I read them in. So thankfully, this one was last, and it changed my entire outlook for this whole video. I thought after I read the other three, they were so kind of white bread, mundane, nothing, that I thought it might be difficult to choose. Like, oh, which one of them's the worst? I gotta pick a worst. Which one? I no longer think that. I no longer think that it will be difficult to pick a worst series out of these. So, this has just about every single one of the worst trademarks of Webtoon series in it, if not all of them. It has terrible art. It looks garbage. I can confidently say that not only could I make better art than this, there is tangible existing proof that I have made art light years better than this. Writing that would genuinely make a modern day Tumblr user do an IRL thinking emoji, and once again, not fucking scary. Not creepy, not unsettling. My timbers were never shivered at even one point reading this. The only thing I was thinking while I was reading this, however many chapters I did read, because they all fucking blended together into one maelstrom of nothingness, the only thing I felt was, man, I sure wish I had a nice, tasty 45 ACP round to swallow right now, because I would rather be doing that than reading this fucking bullshit. And I want to clarify something as well. I understand that I'm a bit of an outlier. I'm immune to fear. We've long since established that. There's documented proof, etc. I can't feel fear. I'm built different. I'm far beyond you. So I get that. But I wholeheartedly believe that nobody above the age of 4 would find this shit even a little bit spooky, scary, or creepy. If there is anyone watching this video, if there are any shitty young parents who are like 22 years old with a 4-year-old out there, first of all, your life fucking sucks. But yeah, you can just take that iPad that is playing Cocomelon and Blippi around the clock 24/7. Go ahead and take that. Just put on a little Webtoon series on there. Put on a little Uriah on the Webtoon. Let them scroll through it. Maybe it'll scare them, and maybe they'll become better children, and you, I don't know, your life sucks, and your children are going to turn out terrible no matter what. So give them this. Maybe they'll like it. So, to end the video, what did I learn, and what would I rank these series? Well, the ranking will go from worst to best. So, at number 761 out of 4 is Uriah, okay? Jumping up to number 3 out of 4 would be Nocturne, then number 2 would be Stagtown, number 1 would be Moonchild. Moonchild gets the number 1 spot because it had the least content and it was just nothing. Like I said, churned out of that Korean sweatshop. It's as inoffensive as, I don't know, what's something that everybody likes? Uh, I don't know. Like, it's as inoffensive as a foot job at Denny's. There you go. I don't know. That's all I can think of. As for what I took away from this, one, still immune to fear. Nothing will ever scare me. But the other thing was, I'm not sure that people on Webtoon know what horror means. Because for me, I love the horror genre. Love horror movies. Like really anything with horror, like I'm down with horrorcore. Fuck yeah, dude. Give me like Dark Lotus all day. But for me, and I know I'm a bit of a purist, and I'm kind of eccentric, but horror has to have one very, very specific thing in order to qualify as horror, and that is literally anything that could be perceived as scary at any point in time. And none of these have that, even a little bit. So, get scammed? I don't know. Webtoon tricked some amount of you into reading and liking this bullshit under the the pretense and promise that it was horror. So scammer get scammed, get fucked. If you still genuinely use Webtoon as a platform for entertainment, what, la cucaracha, get out of here. What are you doing? What the hell was I talking about? Anyways, I'm going to meet up with like a very strange man I met on the internet in less than 8 hours, so I gotta get out of here. Thanks for watching the video, and I will see you. I don't know. I will drop in to let you guys know that I'm not dead, though, from time to time.